Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Let's talk about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I wanna know what's on your mind. Ooh, the world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about, let's talk about, yeah. Let's talk about conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host, and Conversations with Nicole is a talk show based in Tallahassee, Florida, focused on connecting the community through conversations. And today is what I call Mindset Monday. Mindset Monday is an opportunity for you, me, and my guests to talk about whatever it is we want to talk about. And today's topic is organized thinking. Organized thinking. And our very special guest is none other than Mr. Ozzie Daniel, our local resident clinician. Ozzie has been a little absent, but we are so glad to welcome him back. He helps us close out the month, the last Monday of the month. So we are super excited and delighted to have him here with us today. But before I bring Ozzie on, I want to hear from you. Where in the world are you tuning in from? Let us know in the comments. Put your city, put your state so we can give you a shout out. We are live on Conversations with Nicole Facebook and YouTube. And this is an interactive live. We fully expect to hear from you. So I see my cousin Denise is already here. She said, "Good evening, cuz I'm back." Welcome back, cousin Denise. We missed you. She's over in Texas. I appreciate your support and your viewership. So I see some of you out there, but not in the comments yet, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and read Ozzie's. Look, Ozzie gave me the new bio, okay, because I used to be fumbling and bumbling over the old one. So Ozzie Daniel graduated with honors with 5 years of education in psychology and organizational leadership. He served in the United States Navy and completed many tours overseas in sea duty, extending one time with 146 days straight out to sea without touching land in the Indian Ocean on a helo carrier. During his career, he served in many departments in communications field and special forces in high terrain areas. He is a servant leader that enjoys serving others while building a mind of faith and gratitude in the community while working in the mental health field as a clinician, family coordinator, and a mental health skill builder. Ozzie focuses more on the holistic approach to mental health that includes the whole well-being to enhance the quality of life. He enjoys his relaxation. You will often hear Ozzie talking about getting his 20, and he'll tell us about that in a little bit. He loves listening to jazz, reading, and cooking his favorite Caribbean meals with a vision of opening one day a jazz corner for others to relax and unwind from their labor. His favorite quote is, "No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care." Y'all help me welcome Mr. Ozzie Daniel. Yay.
Hello.
What's up,
Good
Ozzie?
evening, everyone.
Evening.
What's
Good
up,
evening.
Nicole?
Good to see you, my
How
brother.
you doing tonight?
I'm good.
I
Listen,
think there's a little static here and there, but hopefully it hold out throughout the whole conversation because of the weather over here, and it's knocking out the Wi-Fi here and there. So they need to get a UHF signal tight and strong tonight.
right. So Ozzie is in Virginia.
Yes.
And he
Welcome,
said,
everyone, and those who are about to show up.
indeed, he said it's storming in Virginia Beach. So hopefully the Wi-Fi will cooperate and let us be great tonight. All right. All right. So I see Miss Jeanette on here from the thriving metropolis of Miami Gardens, Florida. Thank you for being here. And my mom and company from Miami. Oh my goodness. The company is my little nephews who
Hello,
are four.
Madame Everett.
Yes, yes, yes. So thank you for being here, Ma.
Welcome.
So yes, 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 yes. So Ozzy, for the folks that may be new to you, tell us a little bit more about who Ozzy Daniel is in your own words, not what you do, but who are you?
Who am I? That's a good thing. Who I am. I am that I am, they say, right? Well, I will just keep it nice and simple. I'm someone that love the Lord, with all his heart, mind, and soul, and practice cultivating that every single day of his life because there's purpose in it with gratitude. I'm a father, I'm a brother, I'm a friend to those who know me. It's all about living the life as best as you can and doing your best as you can every single day. I did it, I'm versatile, so I am evolving. So there's always changes coming about on a regular basis, but it's always about improving, sharpening, and learning yourself even much more to a deeper degree so you could be a blessing and not a pain to everyone that you meet. I love socializing to those who I meet out in society, whether it may be grocery shopping or just out and about, because I think there is something that is always special about meeting new people and just touching the lives that you come across and just making them laugh. So laughter is a good medicine, and I just enjoy doing that as much as I can because I always believe that if you didn't laugh today, you need to find it before you go to bed because you got to laugh.
Indeed, indeed.
But overall, Nicole just said everything in a social way also of who I am.
For sure. Thank you for sharing that, Ozzy. Speaking of being social, I had the great opportunity of hanging out with Ozzy. I think that was on July 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. I was visiting Virginia
Right.
that first weekend in July, and so we got to hang out. He showed me Neptune down there on Virginia Beach at one of his favorite restaurants. So that was pretty cool. I
Yes, it
appreciate
was. It
you.
was a it
Yeah,
was a it was a blessing joy. It
indeed.
actually
Indeed.
was. Just seeing someone that you just see all the time on the air, but then in person you really get to enjoy them for a few hours, just saying, "Hey, good to see you."
Yeah, 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 yeah. So before we get started with our topic, I got to read my disclaimer since I have a licensed clinician on here, and that is that all topics, past, present, and future, on Conversations with Nicole are for informational purposes only. They are not to be used as a diagnosis for treatment or an answer to any personal issues related to the topic being discussed before, during, or after the program. All right. I see my brother Quasi on here. Peace and blessings, limited time, but wishing the program the best. Thank you, Brother Quasi. We appreciate you tuning in wherever in the world you are right now. So, we are talking organized thinking. And I was sharing with Ozzy before we started the show that I, on my radio segment this morning, covered that topic in order to give a little sneak preview and extend the conversation. And so some of the points that I brought up were around how to organize your thoughts with some helpful strategies, and why it's important to organize your thoughts. One, to improve your productivity. Two, to prioritize important tasks. Three, to create work life balance. And four, to maintain a positive attitude. And some of the steps to help you with that organization include recording your thoughts, prioritizing your thoughts by developing a system, separating complex thoughts into smaller, more manageable ideas, reflecting on your thoughts, and then developing a consistent routine. So these were all points that I covered this morning, but we're going to dive a little deeper into that and whatever else Ozzie has his talking points for tonight. So, organized thinking. I guess I want to start by asking
Yeah,
our
there was
viewers.
some great points that you shared there, Nicole.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's ask our viewers how many of them have an issue with organized thinking. How many of you have an issue with it, or maybe you don't have an issue with it. Let us know in the comments. Do you think you have an issue with organized thinking, or no, not so much? You think your thoughts are pretty together? Let us know in the comments. Again, safe space for us to communicate with one another and to share with one another. So I'll go first. I'm not gonna type my comments in the chat, but I will say that sometimes my thoughts are all over the place. All over the place. And so I
Mhm.
utilize some of those techniques in terms of recording your thoughts. That's one that I do quite often to try to get my thoughts organized, to bring them together.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Cousin Denise says
Journal.
she all over. Journaling is one. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Cousin Denise, then we are we family. All right. So what you think, Ozzy? Organized thinking.
Okay, what I think. Well, that's a good question. What do I think? So we're going to keep it, pretty broad, but actually try to hit some focal points so we could basically get some understanding on it. One of the most important things that we need to understand is we are our thoughts.
Hmm.
We are our thoughts. So basically, whatsoever you think, whether it may be positive or negative, that's what you are. And once you actually originate those thoughts, it's energy. So whether you may understand how it flow is the most important thing to understand how it flow, right? So there's a part in the brain that is called the prefrontal cortex, and that's right in that front region right there in your forehead. And
Hmm.
that part of the brain actually supposed to be is utilized for thinking, decision making, cognitive processes, and which is actually one of the most crucial part of the brain that help
Hmm.
organize problem solving, planning, and your working memory. So the most important thing to understand that we all have one. And the only way for that to work, it must be at work. It must be stimulated. It must be cultivated. And the word organize is better suited in a way as self discipline.
Hmm.
So the more self disciplined you are, the more your thoughts will be organized. So
Okay.
the most important thing about it is understanding that in order for that thought to be magnetized, there must be something called desire.
Mm.
So,
All right.
what's your desire? So, that desire must come first in order to be activated into a plan. So, when that desire comes and the plan comes, now you have to be able to organize that plan through your thought processes by working. It's not going to come just by, well, you could sit down for a moment and just think about things and, you know, just kind of rationalize on things, but it cannot be based on your emotions only. It cannot be based on your five senses only. It cannot even be based on your social heredity only, because your social heredity could really defer you into a different mode, because it could be religious, it could be a social gathering, it could be your upbringing, and it could be your family. So all of these things could actually be an impact upon your thinking, and you really never mature or get into that maturity of really thinking independently.
So I'm gonna slow you down some. You were talking about this frontal
You want me to
cortex and the
prefrontal
frontal cortex, and you said this is the part of your brain. You said this needs to be stimulated and cultivated. Were two of the words that you use. So
right?
talk
Because this
about.
is right, because this is where all the thinking, your decision making, and all the cognitive processes take place that leads to problem solving, planning, and your working memory. So
Mm-hmm.
that part of your brain is actually so essential in your everyday living, because it's either going to be voluntarily or
Mm-hmm.
involuntary by your habit.
Okay. All right.
So
So
your habits is either automatic or it's going to change into a new habit.
okay. So how do we stimulate and cultivate this prefrontal cortex?
Well, actually, you have to have a definite plan, and your
Okay.
definite plan has to be through your work. Because we have to understand, right, that many of us have jobs. Some of us living in our purpose. Some of us is actually doing what we love. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the best way to stimulate that is actually doing the kind of work, or developing yourself to the kind of work that you love and enjoy doing.
Okay.
That is one of the best way to cultivate and stimulate that area of your brain. But it's not just that part only. That's just the surface of it, because now we have to look at the subconscious part of it.
Okay. So what I'm hearing, just based on what you're
Mhm.
saying, is uh cultivating and stimulating that prefrontal cortex comes through a plan, but work, doing the thing that you love doing, your passions, your purpose, your gifts, your talents. Yes. Uh-oh. Did we lose you, Ozzie? I think Ozzie may have frozen on us. Hold on. All right. I know he was having a little technical difficulty, so let me remove Ozzie. All right. So hopefully Ozzie will return to us momentarily. I know he was having a bit of some technical difficulty because it was storming where he is. I do want to acknowledge you, Pumpkin. I see you here. Thank you for being here. Tonight, we're talking about organized thinking. One of the things that Ozzy was mentioning was how the prefrontal cortex is where in our brain is where the thinking and the problem solving takes place, and that we need to cultivate and stimulate that area of our brain. I'm going to refer back to my notes from today on the Hallelujah Morning Show with Michael Cork and friends. There was an article that I ran across that talked about how to organize your thoughts and the importance of organizing your thoughts, including improving your productivity, prioritizing important tasks, creating work life balance, and maintaining a positive attitude. It can definitely, organizing your thoughts can definitely give you direction, can help you with focus, and can really uh, help you get things done. And so, some of the strategies that this particular article that I found talked about included taking breaks, because sometimes we can work, 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 and not take a break, and get fatigued or get a little grumpy or what have you, because our minds have just been going, 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 going. And so it's important to take breaks to get refreshed, to be productive. And those breaks could include going for a walk. They can include taking a stretch. It could include doing some kind of small task that's needful to be done. Also making doing to-do lists. I know for me, when I do to-do lists, I feel so great when I'm able to check those things off the to-do list. And so now I have a sense of accomplishment and whatnot. How many of you use to-do lists out there? Let us know. Let us know. How many of you use to-do lists? And I utilize them paper, but also on my phone. I have an electronic to-do list that gives me reminders of dates and times when I have tasks, which is also very helpful. I see a few people chiming in. My cousin Myra, she says she does. All right, wonderful. We got Michael Cork on here. Thank you for being here. He said breaks are game changers. Yes, they are. Listen, I am trying to incorporate naps more frequently. And so I did a little bit of that over the weekend, and it was great. It was absolutely fantastic. Miss Portia said, "Yup." All right, Miss Portia, wonderful. Pumpkin said, "Me, yes." Those to do lists, those breaks again can be, as Court said, game changers and be very helpful in helping us to get her done. All right. Let's see. Michael said, "Gotta do what's due on the to do." Absolutely, absolutely. So it's important to have some deadlines, and maybe sometimes you might not be able to meet the deadline, but it's okay. As long as you are still moving forward one step in the direction of whatever that task or goal is one step closer to it. So even if the due date is delayed, get a due date on there, because then you can kind of set your goals to that. All right. All right. It looks like Ozzie may have broken through the storm. So let's see. Let's see. All right, Ozzie, you back
Oh
with us.
my gosh, I tell you, it's just so
Okay.
rude. Just so
It's
rude.
all right. It's all
Oh my
right. It's
goodness, I tell
okay.
you. Well, I don't know how much more time this will do, so let's get it in. Let's get it in as much as we can for understanding. Yes.
That's
So,
so,
what?
Ozzie, let me just share. I was just talking about some of the things that I mentioned earlier in terms of some of
Mhm.
those, some strategies to help you organize your thoughts, which include taking breaks, making to-do lists, and I was going to go through the other ones, but we can get back to the prefrontal cortex and stimulating and cultivating, if you like.
Yes. So, one of the most important thing that we need to focus on is redeeming the time. What
Mm,
are you doing with your time? Are you
okay.
taking ownership and control of your time? That is one of the most important things to do into self-discipline and actually organizing your thoughts, because what you spend your time doing is actually going to either deter you from purpose or put you on purpose.
Okay.
And if you actually take control and ownership of your time, it will convert that into opportunity to fulfill your purpose, because it's always about purpose. Like Proverbs 19:21 says, many are the plans of a man heart, but the Lord's counsel that will prevail. So
Mm,
are we taking our purpose and finding out our true purpose through counsel with the Lord, or we just thriving and driving based on our ego? But time is the of the essence. So if we're not managing and taking ownership of our time, we most likely going to get derailed, because now we're just following and we're just feeling, but we're not really thinking about what really need to be done from our soul. So until
mm-hmm.
we could get to that place of managing our time and really focusing on that time, we are we won't be able to create and be productive, because then we'll just get burned out because we try this or we try that and it's not working, so switch to something else. But when we focus in purposely on purpose on what we are gifted with from within by the creator, now he's able to cultivate that through a sense of prayer or meditation, or just actually focusing on the things that we enjoy doing by our natural ability. But we have to understand also there's a deeper sense to that on a soul level.
So let me ask you this. What about those things we don't enjoy doing, but they still got to get done?
For instance, what? Like,
I don't like the iron.
that's a chore. Okay,
It's okay. It's
go
still
ahead. That
we
that's
gotta
not
organize.
that is not, well,
We gotta organize our thinking.
that's right. But we actually trying to focus here on your life purpose. You know, that's a
Okay.
chore. That's something I don't like to mop. Well, okay, I will get into a habit of liking to mop, because guess what? If I don't mop and sweep, the place is going to look dirty. It's going to look filthy, and
Hmm.
that's not a good habit to have, because now we're going to create clutter, and then we're going
Hmm.
to create all kind of insects and stuff like that in the home. So therefore, it's going to become nasty. So therefore,
Uh-huh.
it's a habit that we have to develop and cultivate within ourselves to say, okay, let me do it because it's the right thing to do. And I think that is a positive thing to do. And yeah, let me find some kind of joy into it. But I may need to turn on some music and probably have that good feeling while I'm actually doing it so I could get through it.
Hmm.
Just one example.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm
So,
giving
for
it.
example, right? Some people may not like cleaning their shower, but you got to take a shower. So one of the good way to really keep it clean is have one of those foam Clorox that you just spray the tub and spray the shower curtain when you get out while it's still wet. Well, guess what? It'll do the cleaning for you. So now you have to really get into the position of thinking strategically on how I'm going to get this done without that much work. But how
Mhm.
is it going to get done if you're not working on it? The only way for it to get done, you got to be doing something.
Okay.
Just
I
for
hear you.
example, on the chore technique, and the
Okay.
skill, So some people may not like vacuuming their car. Well, guess
Hmm.
what? It's going to be filthy after a while, unless you're so disciplined not to bring your chips, your fries, your drinks, and have rules and regulation of not bringing
Hmm.
any kind of food or anything like that in the car. But it rains, so your shoes going to get dirty. You
Hmm.
got to dust your feet off somewhere. And some people going to track it right into the house if they don't like cleaning. So therefore, it's a cultivated habit that you have to say, well, this needs to be done. I may not like it, but I'm going to keep doing it until it becomes automatic.
So what I'm hearing
Automatic.
is
But
boundaries.
it's in a way. Hmm?
Boundaries. Is that what we're talking
Second,
about? Boundaries.
boundaries on what? Cleaning?
Yes. In terms of you it sounds like you set a boundary potentially of in the example of your car, maybe not eating in the car if you don't want the potential spills or dirt or mess.
Well, that's a good way of looking at it, also, but it's not, I would look at it as you setting a standard for yourself to say, okay, for everyone, now the boundary is going to come for others not to do it. So you will not have to do it,
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the boundary will be set saying, hey, no eating and drinking in my car.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
When you come into my home, take your shoes off, you know, And if you
Gotcha.
don't like your bare feet, make sure you have some nice clean socks on or whatever, because I don't need it tracking on my carpet or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But now these things have to be intentionally, done, you know? So basically, if you want to have an organized home, if you want to think clearly, things need to be organized in a way so you could be able to think clearly, see things clearly, because I don't think anyone really and truly work good in clutter. And even though they may have a stack of books or paper, they may know exactly where everything at because they're the one who actually stack it that way. But
Mm-hmm.
let somebody else come and touch it or move anything around, they probably have a fit because now they don't know where certain things is located at. But
Sounds
that's all for the third or second party that come in. But what about you? Because remember, you are your thoughts.
like.
Everything about you is your thoughts. So how you manage your thoughts, how you plan your thoughts, how you intentionally, develop into those areas, it really going to speak of who you are. It's not going to
Okay.
be. Mhm.
So pause one moment. I see a few folks have just joined us. We got Miss Keosha in Tallahassee. Thank you for tuning in. And Sister Latanya in Atlanta area. Thank you for tuning in. And she said yes to boundaries. So for those of you who are just joining us, I am on with Mr. Ozzie Daniel, clinician out of Virginia Beach, Virginia, and we're talking organized thinking, organized thinkings. My cousin Myra said, "You are your thoughts." I like that. Yes, and so, but we can change those thoughts, right?
Of course, because thoughts come in two dimensions, positive and negative. So therefore, the more positive we actually act upon the positive, the more we actually develop better and stronger habits to propel us into the area that we need to be working towards. But having a goal is very important because now with a goal, you have to have a strategic plan to get to that goal.
Mm.
And it starts from the side.
Hold on. We got Dr. Sam Carter here of Carter's Corner, who is here in Tallahassee on the live. He said, "Well, I guess I'm gonna always be crazy." Why you say that, Sam? Let us know in the comments. Why you say that? Because your thoughts not organized. They got to be organized to some extent. Because you got Carter's Corner over there, and you doing some great and wonderful things. So I don't believe that. So actually, that actually brings to mind the thought about organized chaos. Is that possible?
Yeah, organized chaos really comes from your thoughts also, because if it's unhealthy and it depends on your social heredity and the directive that you're following, if it may just be out of your feelings being conformed to other people or pleasing other people, but yet you yourself have never really got into the place of really thinking independently. Why? Because there's no discipline. If there's no discipline, it's not going to be organized. And if it's not organized, they're going to be chaos. And then out of the chaos, hopefully with all of the ups and downs, the discipline could come out from that because now you have something to learn from and grow from if you're able to reflect on those things and you want change.
Is there discipline? Can discipline and chaos coexist?
Well, you could believe in, because remember your thoughts is who you are, so you could believe in it so much to the point that it gets so repeated so many times into your subconscious that now it actually bring it forth into your consciousness, and that's what you think is the right way, but it could be the wrong way, because in a self-disciplined life you will be able to discern right from wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the biggest thing about being self-disciplined, because now with self-discipline, now you're going to have accurate thinking. And with accurate thinking, now you're learning how to rely on the infinite intelligence, which is God himself. So when you rely on the infinite intelligence, now you are able to gain wisdom and get directive from that source to help you in your daily life and your daily passion and purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, now you get to believe in oneself. So if you don't believe in yourself, believe me, you're going to believe everything else. And then most people who believe in everything else, they really don't have any structure at all because they're not really thinking independently whatsoever.
There's a lack of knowledge of self.
There you go. And therefore, if you don't have no facts, if you're not researching no facts and trying to prove any facts before you make a decision, of course, you're going to be derailed. Easy. Because
So
all you have to do is get somebody who is really sounding all nice or charismatic. And guess what? Oh, that sounds good. That sounds good. Without even taking the time to really investigate things and look into things your own self to make your own decision. Because at the end of the day, it's about you making your own independent decision and thinking. That's why I brought out about the prefrontal cortex, because everybody got one. So that means if everybody got one, you're supposed to be able to be in a position to think independently. But are you using it to think, or you just going on your five senses only?
good
So
question.
therefore, if you don't get into the infinite thinking part, which is the soul, now how could you really know what to say in confidence without sabotaging your own self?
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, we are our own thoughts,
Yes. You
whether it
said
may be positive or negative. So therefore, we need to find that boundary, as you mentioned earlier.
indeed. So you talked about organizing your space. One of the things related to organizing your space is to do away with those things that are no longer serving you well.
That is well said there, Nicole. If
Thank
it's not serving you well, that means it don't have any value to you. It's not adding value. So if it's not adding value, then therefore you need to know how to delete
you. Mm-hmm.
or just set aside or put away, because it's all about growth and development and evolving. So therefore, if you're not evolving and with growth, therefore you're going to be stagnated. How long you planning to be stagnated? 10 years, 20 years to finally catch up yourself and say, "Oh, I need to really be living out of purpose and doing something with my life that I could be a blessing to myself and others." So how do we manage that? We manage that with managing our time.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing with your time? Are you
So
spending 15 hours watching television and all the talk shows, recording it and everything like that? Or planning your next trip with your girlfriends or your male friends and stuff like that? Or are you focusing on purpose? Because if we focusing on purpose, there's a time and season for everything. There's a time to play, there's a time for recreation. But when a person is focused on purpose, believe me, a lot of things start getting deleted because now your mind is actually tracking and following into those areas that you need to be focusing on. Because at the end of the day, if that definite plan is not even written out
mm-hmm.
for what you really want to accomplish, guess what? You open for any and anything. So therefore, you will be just idle. It's like sitting in a driveway and your engine just on, but you're not driving anywhere, much
Okay.
less with a full tank of gas.
So we got a question on the floor.
All right, first question. Let's go.
Sam Carter says, "How do you know who you are if you've always been someone else?"
Well, that's you just basically in that question right there answer your own.
He
You
answered his
answer
own
your
question.
own question, because now if you've been always been someone else, that means you're not really living your true self, because within your soul it's actually telling you in a small voice what you should be doing or working on, but you doubt it. And the word is unbelief.
Mm,
So therefore, is there's unbelief and there's doubt, there's nothing going to happen, because until you believe in something, there's nothing going to happen. And how are you going to do it? You have to put it to a test. It got to come by action. All thoughts. If you're going to see how it works, And how much confidence you're going to gain from it, it got to go into action. Whether it may fail, in order to test it, it got to go into action. Plan and then action. Thought, plan, action. Thought, plan, action. But it's always best to actually just, you have to have a higher source to help you to bring that into manifestation. And until we come to that place of understanding who that source is and how well we are connected to that source and the purpose that we are here, and there's a purpose for each one of us into really developing and also touching each other's lives in whatever way it may be. But until we come to that place and be self-disciplined, we'll just be missing the mark all the time until we come to that place. Why? Because there's something called the will, okay? And the will is the boss of the mind. So whatever your will is, that's what's going to be the boss into your driving force. So that's why in our prayer, when we say, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. You see, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So therefore, there's a will that we need to come in touch with within ourselves to match his will, so his will could be cultivated in us so we could live out this life in a purposeful way. Otherwise, we just moving on senses.
Yeah, no, that was
work together. Everything worked together as a system. Everything worked together as a conjoined unit. But until we come to that place of understanding who we are as a person by being disciplined, basically we'll fall for any and anything.
okay. Let's see. Susan has joined us from Virginia. Thank you for being here. So, some of the other strategies that were mentioned in this article were speaking with someone. And so that can also help you with organizing your thoughts, because sometimes we can play this recording over and over in our mind and kind of get stuck.
Right.
And so that's where I think having sound counsel or a sound advisor comes in, and the counsel hopefully is a counselor. But if not, just someone who can give you some can
Insight.
listen. Yeah, can listen. Number one, that is paramount.
Yeah.
A lot of times people just need to be heard. Sometimes it's not even about the advice that somebody else or the counsel that somebody else could give them, but they just need to be heard, to hear themselves say this thing out loud. And then maybe some questions being asked to kind of lean in on whatever they're thinking.
Right. So one of the main things that is very important is, what's your affirmation that you give your own self daily and before bed? What is your affirmation? Because if it's not repeated, it's not going to be grafted and grounded within your soul and within your subconscious, because your subconscious is what going to actually bring it all together and bring all the tools together into making it happen. Because we have to remember that it's a life energy. Okay. So if we doubt it, it will not activate in that way for us to really move forward, because now we'll be moving in confusion, which may lead to chaos. So having someone that is mature, that is able to speak to us or share with us, are we open enough to let it resonate with us, or is it resonating with us? But the number one thing is actually, how much do you really believe in yourself? Because if you don't believe in your own self, how would you be even confident in anything within your own self that were created in you already?
I don't know. That's part of that whole sitting with yourself piece, right?
That's part of sitting with yourself piece. But one of the main thing is you have to be mentally active.
Mhm.
So what are you doing with your time? That is the main thing. What are you doing with your time?
That's a
Are you
great
just
segue.
working a job and just can't wait for Friday for you to go out and just have a good time and just, yeah, celebrate life or just live life? Or you working just a job for a paycheck? Or you working towards your life work? Because you see, your boss should not be the one determining how you live. You supposed to be using that work to build and determine how you want to live your life. But if we're not there mentally, we'll always just be working a job. But we supposed to becoming. That's what our work's supposed to do, is help us become
Mm.
our true self. And it's through our work by all these faculties in our mind, in our soul, everything evolving together to become. So, what are we becoming? And it's only going to be measured with how planned your program is and what are you doing with your time. So, one thing I've learned how to do over the years is stop wasting my time on things that I don't need to be spending time with, but focus on the things that I find interesting, that I find soothing, that I find evolving, and I find growth in it. Because if it's not creating some type of value within my being to become better, I am wasting my time.
So pause, because you said a whole lot there, and I want to flush some of that out. I see my cousin Wit in Portsmouth, Virginia. Virginia is in the house tonight. Has just joined us. Thank you so much. So you said work is supposed to help us to become
Mhm.
and become who we are.
That's how you start finding out what you're really made of.
Mm.
Because now, until it's tested, you would not know how far you could go and how deep you could go and how much you could expand. And it only come by work.
So let
And
me
you,
ask
mm-hmm,
let me ask the viewers. Let me ask the viewers. And some of you are retired. I know this. So you can answer it from a standpoint of when you were working. Do you believe that your work, your labor, whether it was a labor of love or not, help you to become who you are? Help you become who you are through um, the peaks, the valleys, the triumphs, the lows, the highs. Do you think that the work that you do or have done has helped you become who you are?
mm-hmm.
Has helped you become who you are? Let us know in the comments. Again, this is a safe space for us to communicate with one another, exchange with one another. I want to hear. I want to hear what you think. I keep getting fired, so I started my own.
There you go.
That's a pretty good indicator,
There
Sam.
you That's a pretty good indicator. And guess what? You probably did the best thing you could have ever done for yourself.
Yeah,
Why? Because now you get to find out what Nicole totally made of and what Nicole need to, and you utilize your resources even in a greater way. Why? Because you adding value to your own self.
listen here, that entrepreneurship will teach you some things about yourself. You hear
Hmm.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially doing that thing full time. It will
Hmm.
teach you about you,
Yeah.
no doubt. I
But
absolutely.
guess what? At the same time, when you're going through all of these testing and all of these trials, and it actually making you even better, because guess what? Your brain start to even make new neurons to help structure what you need to be thinking of and focusing on to be even better.
Because you're trying to.
Because if you reflect 5 years ago or 10 years ago to now, you basically could write 5 books off of that. Why? Because you went through a life experience, but you got to say, I was better than last year, and I did what I had to do to be
You had to,
better than the year before.
you had to figure that thing out.
You had to figure it out. And
All
guess
right.
what? It helps you come to your senses and your true self, and then it drives you to the source of all things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the true source.
Indeed. All right. Kiosha said, recently I listed and prioritized by my core values.
Mhm.
It helps significantly with understanding where my time should be applied. If the activity does not align with my values, I don't make time for it.
Well
Hello.
said. Perfect.
Yes,
Someone is on the road. You
indeed.
know, they basically not even a dreamer right there because now they're really living life in full.
Indeed. I love that, Kiosha. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. Myra said, I do. I've grown and well, I think she meant learned a lot from my work. It made me a better person. I take pride in my work. It represents me. Yes.
Right.
So one of my affirmations is that I work for God.
Okay. So, well, I'm not going to say what you say at
Uh,
night before you close your eye, but
no.
do you have an affirmation that you say to yourself before you go to bed to really to encourage yourself, put your mind at ease to the point that now when you lay in bed, now your whole entire being is taking everything that you said and actually wiring your mind to even be even better. But the thing is, now you get a spiritual download. That's what I call it. My own come around 3 a.m. in the morning.
Mm,
Every single morning around 3 a.m., I get a download within my own being. And
no.
all I do is start listening to my soul,
Mm,
listening to the small voice, the small whisper in quietness to my soul to actually help me on what coming next. Sometimes I already know what's coming next before it even come, but also help me to cultivate and prepare. Sometimes I may have to wait and be patient,
mm-hmm.
and sometimes I may have to act upon it. So, in all of that experiencing, I'm learning timing now. Because one thing I've learned is this: God is never late.
Mm,
You know, there's no hurry when it comes to God. But now we have to bring our mindset into understanding that by discipline. You know,
mm,
so it really comes about in plan, action, and habit. So if you keep doing that every single day, plan, action, habit, and your action create your habit based on your plan, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. But guess what? Something is driving you somewhere,
mm-hmm.
you know. But one thing I want to hit on, right, before we come to a close,
Mm-hmm.
is I want you to go, I call it exhibit Matthew chapter 6, verse 25 through 33. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus spoke about this one thing. And he spoke about this one thing that will derail you from organized thinking, from staying on track,
Mm-hmm.
and the cares of the world. Okay. And it's called worry.
Mm,
So worry, I think, is such a devastating disease. And
mm-hmm.
when I say disease, is disease your mind to the point that now your cells in your body become so deactivated that it start producing all kind of gastric gases to the point of ulcer or leading to any other ailment in the body based on this one thing called worry. So he gave a speech on why worry? Why worry about this? Why worry about that?
Mm-hmm.
But the key point is this, which I love the but that came into verse 33, as they say, conjunction have no function, but this one has so much function in it. He said, but seek ye first
Mm,
the kingdom of God and his righteousness, then all things, he didn't say some things, all things shall be added unto you. So there comes another requirement, which is the most important requirement for every living person, is to seek. And it takes what? Action. How
Mm-hmm.
are you going to seek? You have to find it by seeking. And
Yeah.
what you seek the kingdom. And when you seek the kingdom, there comes wisdom, then come knowledge, then come understanding, then come the download program into your mind on how to cultivate and what to do in a productive way.
Mm.
Why? Because if you believe that, that means all things going to start be added onto you. That means you're going to attract it. It's going to just come to you because now you live in a life based on purpose.
Indeed. Real quick, Cherise, thank you for being here. She said, yes, the first thing I do in the morning is read a scripture and affirmation. And then again, before I go to sleep, all audio to let sink into my spirit. Thank you for sharing that, Cherise. And then Quasi said, and I think this is key right here. He wants to know, how does an individual determine when the work is not enabling their growth and development and that they need to adjust? Which, before you say anything, Ozzy, I think goes back to Sam's original question, which
Mhm.
was, how do you know who you are if you've always been someone else? And I think a lot of that has to do with the work.
So the key is, right, on this note, is in your own thinking, in your own mind, what are you going to do about it? You see, somebody else cannot make that plan because someone will always have an idea for you, or they may have a thought what you should be doing or what you should not be doing. But what do you think you should be doing? And do you have enough faith to believe in it and to move forward and to step out on it? Because if it's not growing you and it's not developing you, basically you're in the wrong place. But if you change your mindset and say, okay, how can I use this for my benefit? Now there's a shift taking place. And when the shift takes place, now you're going to have the gratitude and the appreciation towards it. And now it's going to start working in your favor. But if you totally think negative about it, and consistently thinking negative, you're going to see all the wrong things about it, and it's not going to help you at one bit. And
Mm.
then it may be an influence, or someone else might be an influence to you that may end up derailing you even further into a deeper hole that now you can't even find your own self. But what you do in the mornings and what you do in the evenings, it will and it should help you cultivate, because now you're saying, all right, I need to find out how am I going to handle certain things. And the best way I could say is you got to go to the higher source. You got to seek the higher source. And there's that one source that will have all the answers for you. All you got to do is ask. But when you get the answer, are you going to believe it? And are you going to have faith enough
Mm.
so you could actually put action to it? Because now you the one have to take the action, and if you're not taking the action, that means you're going to procrastinate. And if you're going to procrastinate, then you have this disease going to come along that's called worry. Now you're worrying about this and you're worrying about that, and now basically it's going to start getting you sick
Mm-hmm.
in your body.
So, so it sounds like, um, in between the plan and the action is some belief and faith. And actually, the belief and faith probably comes before the plan, because you got to have, you know, that.
Absolutely.
So, just what does they say? They say the scripture that talks about the faith is small as a mustard seed.
Right.
Like,
And then,
to me,
without faith, Without
having
faith, it's impossible to please God, and they
right,
that come
but
to Him
I'm
must
saying
be that He exists.
having that
Yeah,
small amount of faith, again, a mustard seed size
mm,
amount of faith will get you going in terms of putting that plan, creating that
right,
plan, and then the belief and the faith to move from the plan to the action.
right. And
Kiosha,
what I first,
go ahead. Go ahead.
what I said first in the beginning, you got to have a desire. What is the desire?
Mm-hmm.
And with the desire comes faith. Then with that faith, now you're going to act upon that faith. But it got to be deep within your being that you believe it. And that comes by believing in oneself. So therefore, when there comes obstacles or challenges, or is it going to derail you, or you're going to press forward?
Mm.
But you got to have that plan in order to execute it, and it got to be in favor with your will, and your will got to be in favor with the master will, and then all of that will flow because you want him on your side to bring everything into existence and manifestation, and it's by having favor.
Indeed.
So you got to practice mindfulness, and you got to be able to manage your task. Utilize your resources for your benefit to help you get to that goal or what you ever need. But you have to have that desire. So you have to
Indeed.
have mental right attitude.
Oh, we are having some technical
Oh,
difficulties, but we're gonna press through. Hold on, Ozzie. So let me bring up Kiosha's comment and then we're gonna wrap up. So Kiosha said a lot of times if we are in a space or place where we are not growing or developing, it will be comfortable. I think she meant uncomfortable. It just won't feel right. I definitely have had that experience where I'm not where I'm supposed to be. Um,
yeah.
on
So,
different levels, socially, professionally, whatever. And
mhm,
yes, it doesn't feel comfortable and you don't feel right.
right. So the key is it's your thoughts. What are you going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how you going to think through it?
Yeah.
Because now you have to use your mind. You got to use your brain, and let that faculties in there work for your advantage positively.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how things going to actually come from. Because now even the word says, when you pray, believe that you receive it and you shall have it.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you praying about? Or you're not praying about anything. You're just acting upon your own feelings and your own um, education level and say, well, I'm entitled to this and I'm entitled to that, based on this and based on that. But is it really true facts? Is it really a planned program? Is it a burning desire? Or is it just based on selfish motive?
Mm-hmm.
And do you believe in oneself? Because once you believe in yourself and the confidence is there, whatever you think of and believe into, it will come to pass. It may have a time process that you may have to go through and grow through in order to reach there, because sometimes some things will bring you to a place that you got to learn patience. Some things will bring you to a place that it's going to build your character.
Mm-hmm.
Some things you may have to change intentionally to reach that, because now we're talking about a whole transformation process now.
Yes, indeed.
So it really comes with thoughts, a purpose, and action. But until you start taking action, don't expect anything then just be called, oh, you have a dream. You're just a dreamer. So
Mm.
whatever you believe in right now, do your research, get the facts, get all the information that you need to get by being proactive in those areas, and then take action.
Okay.
Only one way to find results is action. Even
Indeed.
if it may take you 10,000 times. But believe me, once you reach that desire and all of the faculties in your mind and in your spirit and your soul get you there, guess what? Success. But it's only building to another level.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Okay.
only comes by Work. Work is the only key ingredient to bring organized thinking.
Work. Got it.
Work.
You
What
need
are
to.
you working on? What are you studying? What are
Mm,
you making time for to really build you from within? Because everything is within you already. You just got to go in and find it.
got
A
it.
wise man may be able to draw it out of you, but guess what? Would you still believe it? Or are you still going to be in doubt? Oh no, this can't be true. I can't believe it, but I was feeling it all my life, you know. But at the same time, you got to be the one to believe in oneself. And you got to be self-disciplined. If you're not self-disciplined, you're not gonna your thoughts and your thinking is not going to be organized.
Okay. I
So
think
who's
you.
your source? And
I,
what is your source?
I think you have said it, Ozzie. I mean, yeah. This has been good. Work is the key ingredient for organized thinking. Self discipline is
Yeah.
paramount. Control and ownership of your times.
Right.
Um, Work is supposed to help us to become.
Mm-hmm.
We are our thoughts. It
Mm-hmm.
all starts with desire and then comes faith. Listen to your soul and learn timing, and then the plan, action, and habit. Plan, action, and habit. And
Check your habits.
yes, that worry is the disease of the
Mm-hmm.
mind. And so we need to definitely eliminate that worry. Definitely, definitely.
Well said there, Nicole. Well said.
Yeah, yeah. So, Ozzy, how can folks connect with you?
Well, you could connect with me on Facebook, Ozzie Daniel, or IG, Oswiz2819, or you could email me at theozcorner@gmail.com.
All right. And all of that is scrolling on the screen below. I want to thank you for this conversation tonight on organized thinking. Hopefully, we will organize our thoughts by really looking at our work and how that work is helping us to become through the tests and trials and the tribulations that we go through, and examine the growth and development of that work. Cherie said, "This is good stuff. Must put in the work to accomplish the desires of the heart." And yes,
Absolutely.
worry and fear is disease of the mind.
Yes,
Indeed.
it
Thank you
is.
so much.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Cousin Myra said, "Love the conversation." I'm so
Yeah,
glad
thank
you
you.
did. So glad you were part of the conversation. We appreciate the interaction and the comments. We really do. For those of you, again, who are new to the platform, I invite you to subscribe to the Conversations with Nicole YouTube channel. Subscribing is supporting, and we need all the support we can get. We are live on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Our focus is on mental health and wellness in Black and Brown communities specifically, but sometimes we switch it up a little bit. Tomorrow is Singles Mingle, where kings meet queens. And let me look real quick. Our topic tomorrow, bear with me, bear with me, bear with me, is how can you tell when it's time to walk away? Mm,
Mm.
should be interesting. So that'll be at 8:30 on my
when
my
when will
piece.
it be for you
How
to
can
walk
you
away?
how
When
can
you
you
know it's
tell?
time?
How can
Well,
you
you know what? There goes your thoughts right there. So how well disciplined your thoughts is, it shouldn't take that long to figure out,
tell?
if
Oh,
you are in a place
we'll
that
pick. We will pick that up tomorrow. That is a whole nother show. Singles Mingle, where kings meet queens. Live on Facebook at 8:30 p.m. And then on Wednesday, for Wellness Wednesday, I have Dr. Marilyn Spearman, who is a social worker, retired social worker, and she's going to talk about the power of social work. So
right.
you don't want to miss it. We're going to have a good time.
That's
We're going
right.
to have a
That's
good time.
right.
Yes.
That's right.
Kiosha, good conversation. Thank you, Kiosha, for
Thank you,
being
Kiosha.
here and for commenting. And Cherie said, ouch, I need to hear that one. All right, we'll tune in tomorrow at 8:30. All right, good people. We appreciate you. again, Ozzie, thank you for helping us close out the month. We're closing out
My
minority.
pleasure. My pleasure.
Indeed, Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, and want to encourage folks to get their checkup from the neck up and connect with a clinician today. All right, we will see y'all next time. Bye.